Hey guys, Creator Bricks here, welcome back to the video. The set in front of you is the Spider-Man Far From Home Hydra Man Attack, and this is ages 7 up, set 76129. It has 471 pieces, and this set is a bit too big to fit in the studio, so let's get into the set and build it. So right now we're just going to cut open the box, and this is probably my only Spider-Man Far From Home set that I'm going to get, since I'm not really a fan of the other ones that much, but the Multi-Man looks pretty cool. And now let's dump out all the pieces. Okay, so right now we're just going to do a quick time-lapse and open the other bags throughout the time-lapse. And let's start the time-lapse right about now. Completing the set, and this set is really cool and I really liked building it. But first, let's take a closer look at those minifigures. So the first minifigure in the set is Peter Parker, and this version is exclusive to the set because of that hood and torso. Use a hood piece which was first featured in the Falcon from 2015 because that was from a Conjure Club member. But this one has the Spider-Man eyes printed on it, which is really cool and I like how that turned out. And they also use Ant-Man's face, which kind of makes it kind of confusing, but at the torso you could see that he's wearing a jacket with the Spider-Man suit under it, which is pretty cool. There's also a hoodie at the back, and that's printed. And he also used some dark blue legs, so let's move on to the next figure. So the next figure is MJ, and this version is also exclusive because of that face print, and the hair piece at the top doesn't really look that accurate. I think Zendaya's hair is actually dark brown, but it's not really a big deal. And for the face at the front, you could also see a smirk, and if we turn the face around, she's kind of like angry or confused. At the back, you could see a hoodie. And the torso right here, it was first featured in the Jurassic World sets from the first movie, and she also uses black legs. So one of my personal favorite minifigures in the set is Mysterio, and I really like this minifigure, and this is probably the only variant of him that I'm gonna get, since I'm not really gonna get the other one. So at the top they use like a new bowl or fishbowl piece, which is pretty funny. And he also uses a silver head, so you could put the fishbowl on him. For the cape, it's like a magenta color. And for the torso, he also has some green, blue, and purple highlights. And if you look at the back of him, you could see that there's more printing on the back. And if we turn around, you could see that he uses the Power Blast pieces, which were featured about 2 years ago. And if you don't know how these work, you just press this and then they shoot out. I don't think that color really matches him that much, since the color of his power in the Far From Home trailer is like green. But so let's move on to Hydra Man. So the last figure in the set is Hydra Man, and this one's really cool. And the color scheme to him is like aqua blue and dark blue. I really like how this figure came out. And you could see that Lego was trying to represent water in him on the torso and on the back. He has more like a mischievous face on his head. Sadly, he doesn't come with leg printing, but it's not really a big deal. So let's move on to the smaller builds of the set. So the next build of the set is an extension for Hydra Man. They use a lot of these 2x2 slope pieces to make it seem like more of a twirly effect, I think. The reason why he doesn't have leg printing is because he just sits in that 1x2 slot, so you could just simply put him in. And this design is really cool, and they use some stickers, which is quite disappointing, but there's a bit of more creativity to this set. But this is the back of it, and there's not much going on. But this water formation for Hydra Man gives it a quite interesting feel to it, and I'm glad that they include this build in the set, and let's move on to the next one. So for the next build of the set, here is the gondola. And this is supposed to be like a romantic build for MJ and Peter, so you could just plop MJ in there with a paddle, then you could just plop Peter in like that. And I also forgot to mention that it comes with a Superman hairpiece in brown for his hair. So that's pretty much what he looks like, and then if you turn around, he has more like a scared expression. And before we put him in there, you could see that they use 1x2 cheese slopes in a dark red color, so they could just sit back. With the gondola, they also finish it off with these slope pieces, which gives it a nice feel to this, and and this is the bottom of it. So that is pretty much it for this build. So here's the main build of the set. This is one of the scenes from the Spider-Man Far From Home trailer, and this was taken straight out of Venice, Italy, and let's take a closer look at this build. So the first thing we're going to take a closer look at is the docks. This is probably where the gondola boards, so you could possibly just slide in like that, I'm pretty sure, but steps leading up to the top of the bridge, so we'll take a closer look at that. But you could also see a pole, and if we move to the top of the bridge, so here's the bridge. And the thing that we'll start off with first is that you can actually slide the gondola under the bridge, which is pretty cool, and it just slides in easy like that. And the reason why there's clips at the top is that you get Peter Parker and his accessory clips, and then you could just clip it to the top up here, and then it just sits there pretty easily, and you can make it look like he's swinging. And I think that's a pretty cool feature in this set. And the next thing that we'll take a closer look at first is you could place a random minifigure on top of the bridge, and there's like a push button at the back, so if you press it, the whole bridge explodes. And over here, you can see how the function works, so you could just press the lever back and forth, so you can make the whole bridge explode. And two more details on the bridge is that there's spider webs all over here to show that Spider-Man wasn't trying to attack Hydra Man. The reason why there's holes on the bridge is that you can also put the web inside the hole, and then you could just make it look like he's swinging once again. And one little hidden detail on the left side of the bridge is that there's a hole, and there's a little rat in there, and also a pizza, which is kind of disgusting. And there's also a little rat, and this design of the rat is pretty cool because it only comes in the Hogwarts Great Hall, which is pretty cool. Pretty easy way to get this rat. And in the way back of the bridge, you could also see a ruby, which is pretty cool, and that's probably what they're looking for, but I'm not exactly sure because the movie didn't come out. And on to the far right of the build, you could see that there's a coffee shop, and in front of it you could also see a table and chairs, and also a little guardrail right here. And if we take a closer look at the two materials on the table, you can also see a newspaper right here, which is in Italian, so I can't really translate that, sorry about that. You can also see a mug and also a pizza on the table over there. And if we put those two materials back on the table, and there's a little hidden play feature in this part of the build, so you might see like a little rounded 2x2 piece. So you could just press that and the whole thing flies off, so we can test that out with Peter. So as you can see, I put Peter on top of the table, and if you press this little bumper right here, he should fly off, which it kind of works well, but we could give it a second try and see if he flies off. So we could try it again and see if he flies off, so we're going to press that, and that one was pretty good and better than last time. And next to the table, you can also see a street lamp, which also uses one of the flower pot pieces at the top, and kind of like a 1x1 transparent brick. And if we move on to the coffee shop, you could see some flowers off to the side, and also a glass window over here. And if we move over a bit, you could also see that there's a coffee maker. And this design is pretty simple, and even though this build is pretty cool, there's not that much inside the coffee shop, which is a bit disappointing. That's probably why they put the two chairs and table off to the side and outside of it. But let's look at the top of the coffee shop. And for the near top of the coffee shop, you can see that this place is called Floria's Cafe. And these are actually stickers, which is kind of disappointing, but it's still fine. At the top, you can also see some leaves and also Spider-Man's web at the top. And if we look at the top of the tower, you could see that this is an amazing design. And you could see that they use a brown cone piece to finish off the tower. And I really like that they use these new pieces, which if you take this off, you could see a better look at it. But this tower design is really cool, and I'll give you a 360 look at it really quick. And then you could just put it on like this. And that was pretty much it for the set. So the design of the box is pretty cool, and this is pretty much a $40 or $30 box size. And the artwork on this is pretty cool. And if we move on to the back of it, you can also see all the play features in the set. And let's move on to the instructions. So if you look at the instructions, you can also see the cover of it. And if we look to the back of it, you could see like a life ad and also an ad for Marvel Superheroes 2. And if we look at the back, there are one ad, but sadly there isn't any ads for the Endgame sets or the Far From Home sets. So that was my review of the Spider-Man Far From Home Hydra Man Attack, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. And sorry if this video was a bit long, it's just that there was a lot to cover on the set. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.